Hi guys, welcome to JDL Podcast episode 1. In this video, we're going to talk with Jonathan. Hi Jonathan, how are you?
Hi David, I'm good.
Jonathan is my cousin brother and he is involved in an organization called UNH LunaCats. And he is the president of the company.
Yeah, so I'm the president of the UNH LunaCats. UNH standing for University of New Hampshire. You can find us on social media, on Instagram at unh.lunacats. You can also find us on YouTube at UNH LunaCats, and also we have a website as well, and all of these links will be found in the description of this video, so you can stay tuned and pictures, videos, content to come.
So let us ask some questions with him, and it's going to be a very good knowledge sharing session. Okay Jonathan, now tell me what sparked your interest in robotics and how old were you?
Okay, so I started robotics a year after my sister and some of my friends started doing it. I saw them do it the year before, and I thought it was very interesting and looked very fun. So the year after, me and my sister and one of my good friends who goes to Georgia Tech right now, we all formed a team of 3 people, and we did really well. We made it all the way to the World Championships, and we went all the way to Kentucky and competed against different teams around the world, and it was just a great experience.
How did you get involved in your first robotics team?
So I got involved in my first robotics team mainly because of my parents. They were both coaching along with my friends' parents, so I just got involved like that. Also just interest of driving a robot and building one and actually competing. That was very interesting to me as well.
Jonathan, are there any particular people or events inspire you to pursue in robotics?
Yeah, so definitely going to competition was very inspirational, and just learning a lot about how robotics is and working with other teams and competing was definitely a very exciting moment that really inspired me, and definitely just building a robot and learning about how the different elements of a robot come together to make a complete thing that works was really inspiring and very interesting to me as well.
What are the challenges you faced in the early years and you overcome that?
Yeah, so definitely there were a lot of challenges with robotics. Definitely with figuring out how to make a robot with the specified requirements given by the competition. So for example, we'd have to work within space, height, and constraint as well. So working with those, and a lot of trial and error as well. So for example, your first design will never be perfect, so you always have to change it up and kind of fine-tune a design that will eventually be good enough to score enough points in the competition. So there's definitely a lot of trial and error with that, but also there were a lot of trial and error with driving as well, because we had to drive our robot. So being able to practice driving within under a minute and try to score as many points as possible. There was a lot of practice that we did, as well as figuring out how to make code that would actually do what we wanted to as well. And then other than that, during competition, anything can happen. For example, there are a lot of technical issues batteries malfunctioning and a robot not turning on, all that. None of that you can actually control, but we kind of had to face those and try to overcome those in the heat of the moment.
So those times will be very stressful for you, right?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely there's a lot of stress, definitely because during a competition you can't really control what's going to be happening. So there's also you're in front of a whole bunch of people who are looking at what you're doing, so there's a lot of stress, and you kind of get a little nervous about that too. So You kind of just have to cope with it within the moment and just try to do your best, because obviously every match will never be the same. There'll always be different things that happen that are out of your control, because you're definitely working with other people and other teams as well. So definitely you just gotta hope for the best, you know.
Okay. How did your role on the team evolve over time?
Obviously I was part of multiple different teams, so I guess as it evolved, as I got more experience, I was doing more things. So like when I first started doing robotics, I didn't really touch into like the coding aspect as much, but I was doing building and like driving. But definitely as I did robotics more, including like during middle school, I was kind of like heading the teams, and like since I had more knowledge on like robotics and had did it in the past, I definitely was given a little more responsibility.
For you, what are the biggest difference in middle school and high school robotics program?
Okay, so some of the biggest differences between middle school and high school for me was definitely the team size. So definitely with middle school, it was definitely a bigger team, so there was around like 60 people. But with high school, our team was kind of limited to around 4, so we were definitely doing a lot more. And also it was very different. So with middle school, it was like you'd use these pins and you'd connect pieces together to make a robot. But with high school, we actually had more autonomy, so we'd be using metal like aluminum and steel, and we'd be using bolts to secure pieces together. So it was definitely a challenge to get used to and figure out how to use the system before we could build a robot and bring it to competition.
How did your high school robotics team like prepare you for your future career goals?
Yeah, so definitely me doing robotics in high school, which not just included being part of a robotics team, but also taking a marine robotics course, where we built an underwater ROV, which means remotely operated vehicle that goes underwater using propellers and the propulsion. Was a very interesting class, as well as another robotics class where we just learned about robotics. It was definitely a thing that sparked my interest and led me on the path of choosing mechanical engineering, because I enjoy robotics a lot. But also sparked my interest on getting more involved in robotics on the high school level. Yeah, so there was this fair that I went to where we could sign up for different clubs, and I saw this robotics club that was in college, and I got very interested. So I started attending a couple of meetings, and I really got interested in it. So I joined that club, which I am in to today.
How has your experience in robotics changed after starting college?
So with college robotics, it was definitely very different for me. So usually in all the robotics clubs that I was part of in the past, there'd be like a coach who would lead everything and kind of organize stuff. But with college, everything was student run, so students would run the club with an advisor who would be overseeing it. And also the competition was very different. It's held by NASA, so they have their own requirements, and there's just a lot more that needs to be done for the competition, like writing papers, filling out forms, and a lot more stuff that I never had to do, or definitely very different. But also with college, we kind of stay in our own areas. So like with high school, middle school, elementary, I'd kind of be helping with the coding and building and driving. But with college, we'd have like a sub team of electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and computer science. So we do what our specialties. So for example, mechanical engineers would do CAD and like designing the robot and building it. So CAD stands for computer aided design. So we would have a simulation of all the dimensions, look at stress on different parts and see what's weak and what could be a flaw in the design, to make sure that we have a good design going into building, because usually with other robotics teams we kind of had the materials on hand and we just built and did trial and error. But with this, since we have limited resources, we kind of have to do a lot more planning and calculations than I had to do before. And then also electricals, they would deal with stuff like circuits, wiring, making sure that the robot receives enough power to operate. And then computer science, they would work on stuff like making sure the robot can drive with the remote, making sure that it's fully autonomous and you can operate it with a single button or code without having to interact with the robot directly.
Okay. Jonathan, what are the most exciting or challenging aspects of robotics at your college level?
So some of the most exciting things about robotics in the college level is we definitely are building a much larger robot than I've ever built in the past. So there's a lot of challenges with that. But something that's really exciting is that we're actually competing in a robotics competition held by NASA. So part of their Artemis mission, which is to bring more presence to the moon, is basically building berms to make sure that material that they land on the moon is safe when they do takeoffs in rockets from the moon. So it's kind of a way to protect material, and a berm is basically like a mound that's going to protect your material. So that was the competition last year and also this year. Some challenges, I guess, are definitely different constraints that NASA gives to us. So for example, we want to make a robot fully autonomous. There are a lot of restrictions on what we can use and what we can't. For example, we can't put cameras on our robot or we'll get penalties. Things like that. Also, some challenges that we faced is height and weight constraints and length. So for example, last year we decided to max out our length constraints, so we made it as long as possible and as wide, but we didn't make it as tall. But there were a lot of challenges with that. For example, it was very hard to make short turns because of how wide the wheelbase was and how spread apart the wheels were. And also we were doing tank drive, so basically meaning that all four wheels would be facing the same way and wouldn't be able to turn. So this year we decided to fix some of those changes, and being more ambitious, we decided to make it four-wheel steering, so all four wheels independently steer like a RC car. And also there's a lot more components and a lot of different things that have decided to build. So there's some challenges with the robot as well. So with NASA, they have a whole bunch of guidelines of how heavy and how big the robot should be. So right now we're facing some challenges because we're kind of overweight with batteries, motors, and all the components that we need for a robot to successfully complete the task given by NASA. So we're kind of trying to cut down weight and trying to problem solve all that right now.
Okay. So, have you ever faced any significant failure in robotics competition or projects, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, for sure. So with robotics, from elementary to college, there's always challenges. So you're never gonna get when you build a robot, you're never gonna get it perfect. There's always trial and error. There's definitely gonna be things that go wrong, but you kind of have to work at it and perfect your design. As well as in matches, you can't really control what's gonna happen, like to your robot or anything on the field. So you just kind of have to work with what you got and try to do your best. But always perseverance is a really important thing that you should do.
Okay, Jonathan, like we are in the end segment. So now that we heard about your experience, I'm sure like our viewers are like to hear how you became the president of UNH LunaCats.
So like I said, I was part of this club last year and I was a member. Around May of 2024, I was approached by the president at the time, including the advisor, who was asking me if I would be interested in joining this, being president of this club and taking over. So I naturally said yes, because I definitely thought that this would be a huge opportunity of learning and growth. So I said yes, and after that I kind of got situated into the role and learned some of the responsibilities I would have. So for example, right now I kind of handle all the stuff like managing the team, making sure all the forums get done, raising money, making sure that that we have enough money for us to build the robot and go to competition in Florida, but also making sure that all the teams have everything they need and can design and build the robot. So for example, we have multiple sub teams from the teams. So under mechanical we have mining, depositing, and drivetrain sub teams, and between all of those we have students who are working on their respective parts. Also with computer science we have a autonomy and controls sub team. So controls works on making the robot be able to be driven by the remote, and then autonomy is being done by our other CS students who are making the robot fully autonomous, making sure we have the right sensors to put on the robot, where to mount them, and working on that. And then we have people for electrical as well. So I help out with all of that as well, but also marketing, making sure that we have the money. So I reach out to companies, asking them to sponsor our team, and giving them incentive to do that. And then also working closely with the VP, just to make sure that we can do it, just to make sure that we have everything in order. So for example, NASA has a lot of deadlines, so we have a lot of papers and like different things we have to hold. So I organize meetings as well as I work with the organizational team to make sure that all our forms are done. And for example, we had to do a design review with past alumni, where they would give us input on our design and give us feedback, and then we would revise our design to make sure that it's better, as well as a lot of engagement opportunities. So a couple of months ago we organized a meeting with a local high school, and their first robotics team came in, and we told them about our team and what we do, and just gave them some more input so they'll join in a robotics team when they get to college. As well as we're mentoring a middle school robotics team as well, so helping them build a robot, giving them resources, and just helping them code, because they don't know much about robotics, and we just want to help them and just give back to the robotics community as well.
Okay. Jonathan, it's nice to hear that you are mentoring teams and young students the same way you were once mentored. Jonathan, can you share with us like how interested viewers can get involved with robotics?
Yeah, so if you're interested in robotics, you can obviously join. If you're in college like me, look for a robotics team. I guarantee that you'll find one. Robotics is also offered throughout elementary, middle school, high school, and colleges. So there's different robotics programs. So there's FIRST and there's VEX. So look for a robotics team like that. And if you don't have a robotics team, you should you can start one like how we did, and there's a lot of information about that online. But if you're interested or slightly interested, just go to a robotics team and see what it's all about, because there's a lot of interesting things about robotics, and there's a lot that you can learn. And also, robotics is a thriving industry these days, so there's a lot of jobs that are coming in as everything's becoming automated. So definitely check out robotics if you're interested.
Okay, Jonathan, thanks for coming to my podcast. I hope this goes well.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me, and hope to be back soon.
Sure.